Good evening. Obviously, had some cracking action at the Dublin Racing Festival. I'm basically on my laptop to update the bet loader to take out a few bets that I may have cashed and to add in a few bets that I've slapped on. We all know, especially the anti-post punters that like to get stuck in, that bookmakers can linger with prices. They're getting a bit more wise to it now, but even straight after the race, they can open something up a bit bigger than it maybe should be. So that's why I've been topping up. The main reason for doing this video, though, is just to quickly skim through the percentage price changes and what that actually means for the horse's chance when it comes to the festival. Now, this is very much teaching your grandmother to suck eggs for the most of you, like you understand this principle. But I'd just like to reiterate it, and in case anyone was interested, show you what my thoughts were of the winners of those races and how that's been echoed by the price change and their percentage chance at the festival change. So obviously get all this stuff from Odds Checker. It's nice and easy for horses that have run on the same day. So, for example, Appreciate It today. When we look at the Supreme, you can click on his and you'll see the previous day's price. We'll pick a Nergamine up for just a slightly different example here, but you'll see the previous day close price. So, because we want to look at how much it's decreased that day. And I know there could be price changes from that like midnight until before the race, but we look at the previous day close. That will tell us the price that it was, and then you can see the timestamps when they change during the day. For something like a Nergamine that ran a little bit before, so around the day prior, we want to look at their closing prices before, and it doesn't show exactly the same. Now, these prices that are dented in here, sometimes they can be prices that have been changed into. So, for example, there's been a change from the 6th there to the 7th, 9 to 4, but it doesn't show the blue marker that the price is shortened. Likewise there for those bets. So you want to skim down a little bit further until you see what the biggest price was before it got to that. So you can see Bet365 shortened into 6-1 on the 3rd, so probably in preparation for the Dublin Race Festival. And then on the day, they changed it to 11-2 before they shortened it. So that's how we chalked in his price. Now, I've gone through that for all these on Odds Checker. I've got a few scraping tools that get me some prices, but that's for another day. So basically, we'll go through the performances and we'll talk about how they got on. I'm going to want to keep this very concise, keep this as short as possible, and then we can look at what the price differences are. Now, I know this is very numbery and it's not probably the clearest way to view it, but I've zoomed in so it looks better on the screen, hopefully. Obviously, we all have different opinions of how impressive or how good a horse was. And that's the whole point of this game. It is opinions, and it is good to have those, because if you were more impressed than the bookmakers, you potentially going to get some better value in there. But this is essentially going to give us a better, I think, better indication of how our opinion of a horse has changed from the result. So not for the fact that, wow, we know this horse is definitely going to win a race, it should have shortened up loads for it, because we may have already known the horse was really fancied for it. So without warbling, we'll just start looking into it a little bit. Now, this is currently sorted by their percentage chance of winning a race at the festival, so we'll literally just go through it in the order that it was. We can obviously sort these by different things, and the golf changes massively for whichever way you look at it. But basically, Chacun Pour Soi won on Saturday, was pretty impressive. Like Willie Mullins commented after the race, you thought between between 3 out and 2 out, and then 2 out to the last, he got a bit better. But it looked a little bit like, maybe was he actually going to turn up? And then Paul Townend just said that he was asleep underneath him, and he was very impressive towards the end. The key factor to remember here is, I mean, he is a bit shorter than other bookies, like he's 4 to 5 in places, so that would change these a bit more. But we knew that he was the most likely winner at Cheltenham before this race, given what's happened since over here. He won at Christmas. That was the time that splashed it up. We've obviously seen what's happened to Altior, seeing First Flow go in and win. It's just, we knew already that he was going to win the champion chase, and he has obviously trimmed up 50-50 chance whether he goes there, and I guess the majority of that guff is whether he handles Cheltenham or not, but no reason to think that he wouldn't. But in terms of a price change, it's a 5% reduction in his actual price, and then it's a 2% increase to his chance of winning the race. Now, these don't have to echo each other, but seeing the percentage change, that's the difference between the return you're going to get back, and that's the percentage change between what their chances of actually winning a race. So he's given himself 2% extra increase of winning the race. Monkfish RSA, now he was ultra impressive. Really, really like a perfect novice chase performance that was. Went out and bossed it from the front. I thought that he'd be getting some company and they might test his jumping a little bit, but they couldn't even live with him. You saw the mistakes that he made horses putting him behind. They couldn't travel that speed, and this is only 2 3/4 miles. I know it's on testing his ground, but that was a massively complete performance for me. Available at 5-2 beforehand. He was mostly 2-1. I think Betfred or Unibet were 5-2 before, so I put that in just for the sake of the price. His price has reduced by 40%, and his actual chance at the festival now is basically a 50% chance. The change there in his chance from before and after is gone up by 19%. The difference between those chances. So he's basically 20% more likely to win at the festival off the back of what we saw there, which I think is fair. We all knew that he had a massive chance, but that just shows how impressive he was. He was well fancied anyway, and his price has shortened up significantly. That percentage chance change, like most people fancied him beforehand, like I say, and now we fancy him even more. So Monkfish was complete. Kilcrut was the standout performance I felt visually of Saturday. Still, I'm in an iron between him and Monkfish because keep watching them back. Monkfish was just the ultimate complete performance. He probably has to be the performance of the weekend. Kilcrut was very, very, very good. The way that he cruised past. I know people will say that he didn't get asked, but he didn't need to be asked. That's the point of how impressive it was. Filthy performance that was. Now he was available at 10-1 prior, and he shortened all the way down to 6-4 now. That price has come in a tiny bit after, which isn't as fair as the guys that have run today, but his price has shortened up a little bit more. So that price change there is a 77% price change. So obviously if you're looking there, wow, he's quartered in price, which sounds massive, but his actual percentage chance is increased by 30%. So as much as he's like when people say they've halved in price, it doesn't mean they've got twice as much chance of winning now. That's the point I'm trying to sort of reiterate in here, but it's a massive change there. It's a 31% increase, which is obviously going to mean that he's got a very good chance of winning it. So he's got a 40% chance of winning the race now, whereas before he had just under a 10% chance. So again, it echoes how impressive the performance was in what's happened in here. More so though, this echoes that before the race, as much as he's on people's radars, I know a couple of people have tipped him up for it anti-post, fair play to them. And he was a massive prize right at the start of the season. Obviously, people are going on now about Tony Munnings mentioned him at the races preview. So I hope all the people got the massive prize at the start of this season for it when he changed to Willie Mullins. But by the by, going on about that sort of stuff, before Saturday's race, even though he was favourite, we were still rating him as probably like a 10-1 poke to actually win the champion bumper. And more than anything, that was off of the fact that we've already had Sir Gerhard stamp his authority and everyone raves about him. So that means that Kilcrut's been afforded basically a position that he wasn't that fancy before the race, so there's going to be more room for his price to shorten up. Appreciate it for the Supreme. It was obviously today, I felt like it was a bit of a lacklustre performance because of the fact that I'd have thought he'd win it by a few lengths. That said, he didn't jump great. He was up with the pace, and everything else that was up with the pace was well beaten. They just dropped back. So the fact that he carried on was good. I thought Ballyadam was travelling around the corner and was going to beat him, even when they started to niggle Ballyadam as the camera angle comes in to jump the last. I thought Ballyadam was going to come and get him. He didn't jump the last great, but he was never getting to Appreciate it. Appreciate it did show a bit of pace to sort of pick up again. Paul Townend said after that it wasn't ideal. Didn't really want to do the donkey work up front, and he didn't really get to set his own fractions. And he echoed that he didn't really jump that well, but he said good horses get it done. So again, we knew that he was probably the most likely winner of the Supreme before. We still think he's the most likely winner of the Supreme, but he wasn't that impressive. Price has gone down by 20-odd%. Chance has gone up by 7-ish%. So the third weakest increase in percentage chance change. So basically what I mean is we knew beforehand that he was going to be favourite for a Supreme. We know now that it's the same. It's not like if he'd have gone and pulled well clear, I know there's a limit to how short these horses can get, but it's not like he's gone down to an even money poke, and that would have increased it significantly. Champion Hurdie Honeysuckle. So similar to like Kilcrut, there's reasons why Honeysuckle was a much bigger price beforehand. Majorly the fact that we didn't know whether she was going to go here or she's going to go mares, and we knew that was all going to hinge on her performance in the Irish Champion Hurdle. But much like and Appreciate it, the manner of how they do it is what's going to make the massive difference to how much the price reduces. Now, Honeysuckle could not have been more impressive. It's the best 2-mile performance I think I've seen for a couple of years, if I'm being honest. The actual Champion Hurdle itself included in there. For me, she is the one to beat in the Champion Hurdle now. If Epitante had won at Christmas, I still would have really fancied Honeysuckle after this, but it would have been Epitante's to lose. I feel like now that Honeysuckle, because she's won at Cheltenham, she's the one to be beaten here. And we can see there that the percentage price change from 14s down to 5-2 is a significant reduction, and her chance is still, it's under 30% chance, but you can see the change there. It's increased by 22%. So she only had a 6% chance by the book beforehand, and it's massively jumped up. So again, echoing how good a performance it was, and the fact that maybe the strength of the race, like she wasn't favourite before, she's only joint favourite now. There's only so big a percentage change can go, but again, it echoes just how good she was. So in terms of here, we can see the change percentages: 30-odd%, 20-odd%, 19-odd%. It's almost reiterating how impressive the performances were. Energumene for the Arkle. Now, he wasn't favourite beforehand. He's still not favourite after. Time Boys were going mad at his first run. They were going mental every second run, and they were going really excited yesterday as well. Now, people are saying that he was faster than Shaq, and he wasn't. That was race time, and they came from different positions. So you do it from the back of the last fence or before they jump the first, however you want to do it. Most people have got him half a second or a second slower than Shaq, but still, it's a hell of a performance, really. And his price has shortened accordingly, hasn't it? So his price is reduced almost by half, and his chance has now gone up to a 26% chance, but it's pretty much doubled there. You can see he's 26 and he was that. So this is the mark here where he's pretty much halved in price and he's pretty much doubled in chance. So that's where it actually has fallen in line. Other ones where they're going into like a favourites position, obviously they'd end up with a bigger actual percentage chance of winning at the festival. But yeah, Energumene was very impressive, and he's made it clear, isn't he, that the biggest challenge to any of the novice favourites at the moment is in that Arkle. And being a big Shishkin backer, I'm terrified of Energumene. But some bookmakers were slow yesterday. You could still get fives with Bet365 after. I'd already had some bets on him any race at the beginning of the season. I thought he might end up being Marshish horse, but anyway, he was good. Jumped a tiny bit to his right though. I still think it's Shishkin's to lose. I'd like to see Energumene pestered up front, but conversation again for another day. And I said I was going to keep this short. Gallard de Mesnil on the Ballymore, he was good. And I think as well, because he was the first runner on the first day of this 2-day feast, and we've had so many scintillating performances after, I think he's kind of been forgotten a bit about how good he was. Doesn't really echo or doesn't really agree with what I'm saying there in the price, does it? Because he's massively reduced in price. And he was actually a little bit bigger than that, wasn't he? Mr. Incredible won in the week, which shortened him up before. So, yeah, he's got a proper chance. But that race does look a bit deeper than some of the others. So he has actually gone into favouritism, but we've obviously got Brave Man's Game and we've got Bob Ollinger that look worthy adversaries. And, yeah, it looks a proper race, doesn't it? But I was really impressed with him. I think Statler was in the race to set it up for him personally. Statler impressed me. I think he's got a proper chance in an Albert Bartlett if they can sit him back a little bit and let him be towed along. There was obviously a couple of flying finishes in there as well, which we kind of expected. But yeah, Gallard de Mesnil was impressive how he turned round and he battered him really. Quilixolos, not so much as an impressive winner, I don't think today. He got the job done. And Gordon Elliott has said this after, that he's much more like a stay-in type, but he didn't wow me. I don't know whether it's the same for other people, but I just felt like he got the job done. But you'd slightly be disappointed if he was the winner of the Triumph. Again, we've got Zana here that was strong fav for the race beforehand. French Azil was second fav. It was a kind of performance that makes you think neither of those have got anything to be worried about. And that's where I'll go back to what Appreciator did. Had there have been a standout British performer that was already favourite for a Supreme, Appreciate It would have shortened a tiny bit, but wouldn't have been a significant mover. It's just the fact that there isn't anything else there that's kept him towards the head of the market, I personally think. But yeah, Quilixolos, his price has reduced. His chance has obviously gone up. And the change is there for everyone to see, but I wouldn't have Quilixolos as winning a Triumph. So again, I don't know whether this will be helpful to anybody. I don't even know if there's any point really going through some of this stuff, but it's more just to talk about how the prices will change on horses and how much it means for their chance. Like I say, I hear plenty of times where someone will say this horse has been smashed up and it's gone from 20s to 10s. Okay, it may have halved in price, but its chance of winning is only up to a 10% chance now. So its chance will have doubled in line with the price halving, but what chance has it actually still got of going and win at the festival? Now, this is a very ballpark rule of thumb because you've got to think the bookmakers bet over rounds, which means that in a perfect market, you'd bet £100 to get £100 back. Bookmakers will bet maybe 110% for the festival when we get near there. So it costs you £110 to get your 100 back. So these percentage chances here, because these are all in different races, if we were to sum these all up, of the winners that happened over this Irish Racing Festival that we talked about in here, these 8 runners, if we worked it to normal, just everything's perfect in the world, every 100% you get is how many winners you're going to get from the festival or at the festival. And if you do it to 110%, you're taking in the bookmakers over round. So we'll just do 100% for the sake of it. So to sum that up, the total amount is 265% chance So basically, what we're saying there is there's probably 2.5 winners from this weekend that are going to go and win at the festival. I know that sounds balmy when we're talking about Chacon Poursoir, we're talking about Monkfish, we're looking at Kilcret, we're talking about Appreciate, even Honeysuckle looks not bomb-proof, but looks like she's going to be going there winning. But that's the reality from an actual betting perspective. So don't get excited about some of these horses because they are wonderful superstars, but don't get overexcited for recency bias that just because they've won at the Leopardstown Festival, all of these are going to go and hack up. As I say, from a percentage perspective there, even if we round it up, 3 of these 8 are going to win at the Cheltenham Festival by the prices that they are as it stands. So if people are starting to look at these and thinking they're a bit short and they're starting to stick these Canadians and lucky 63s and things like that on there, just be mindful that obviously there is other competition when it gets there, and not everything is absolutely banker bomb proof. But I do this with my anti-post bets. You guys will know that I bet multiple horses in a race, so I'll add up my percentages in there. I'll add a little bit of slush in for the over round, and it'll give me an idea of how many winners I can expect for the festival. It's never too far off. I always hit at least that number, so it's a good thing to look at. So yeah. And just to finish this off, because I said I was going to keep it short and I probably haven't, the way that I would rank the performances of the weekend, I would say that Monkfish was just the most complete performance. Like it was so good to watch. I've said about his jumping a little bit, and I think that if he was pressured, maybe I think he would have just jumped as perfectly. But that's the only tiny thing in the back of my head, which is balmy to say now. It was a perfect performance today. Like he looks an absolute beast. So he has to go top of the tree. Kilcret was so good yesterday, and like it's pestering me just for the sake of saying this. Who was better? Like I'd put him on a par with Monkfish really, just for the ease that he cruised round. Like I cannot see anything getting anywhere near it. Eileen Dover that battered Grangie at Market Raisin. We don't even know if she's going to go to Cheltenham. She's probably not, but if that wasn't to run there, then I don't think anything that Sir Gerard's done would worry me for Kilcret. So yeah, he was filthy impressive. And Honeysuckle, she's up in there in the top 3 performances. Like she was, like I say, I think it's the best 2-mile performance I've seen the last couple or few years. So not few years because Espoir de Lamb was more impressive, but the last couple of years anyway. So she was ultra impressive. So they would be my 3 big ones to take out of it. And again, we're looking from the price changes, things like that in there. They are sort of the most significant ones that are in there. As I say, Gala de Mesnil was decent. But we've got Andy upcoming on Tuesday, me and Matt. I was going to do a review of the Dublin Races Festival, but I don't think it needs to be done. You guys would have watched a lot of this. You can make your own opinions up out of it. We've got Newbury Super Saturday coming up on Saturday. We've got some decent racing. We'll have the Adonis and the Dovecote meeting. There's Red Mills Day still at Gowron Park to go. So there's a few more meetings that are interesting, but we're finally getting to the latter stages of the Cheltenham trials, and entries are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We've got a couple of weeks till the handicap stuff comes out, so that's where people want to be getting stuck into. But yeah, it was a decent weekend. And the handicaps would be the ones that I'll be looking at reviewing the races for pointing towards Cheltenham. But I won't peel anything up specifically in a review for a video just yet. I'll wait till the handicap entries come out, and I'll do it just before the handicap entries come out, and I'll tell you the horses I like for each of the races. And if they do get an entry, that's when all the markets will be going wild. So at least I'll give you a list of horses where I'm thinking. Not saying you have to follow me in, but just in case you're interested. So thanks again, guys, for your support. Appreciate it. Sorry for having to listen to me waffle for ages when I said I'm going to keep it quick. But, I just like talking horses. So cheers.